Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day everyone. The first topic is finding meaning in a context. Now before we begin, I would like to remind you a few things. Number one, this is one of the topics that will be tested in your test. Number two, you are also required to purchase or you are required to bring along with you an English dictionary in order for you to answer this section in your test. The only dictionary that we allow for students to bring along or to bring in during the test is English dictionary. If you have English BM or English BM English or English to other languages, those dictionaries are not acceptable. Also, online dictionaries, electronic dictionaries, as well as thesaurus. Now, before we begin with finding meaning in context, I hope that by now you have already understood the format of your test. Very much similar to your reading comprehension passage that you may have taken before or you may have set before, perhaps during your diploma years or during your secondary years. However, for ELC 501, the questions are very technical. Now, in this topic, you will be asked to find meaning of certain words. It sounds easy, right? But it is not as easy as you think it is. When they ask you to find a meaning of a word, they don't mean that you are going to open your dictionary, straight away find the word, and look at the given meaning, which normally will be in a full long sentence, and your job is just to copy that meaning. That is not the story. Although that is not the story, you still need to use your dictionary. And later when I explained, I will let you know why and how. Now, how do you understand every word when you read something? You're using a dictionary? Of course. But imagine this. Referring to a dictionary can be tiring, especially when you have too many words or too many articles or both to understand. Imagine you're reading a newspaper. Do you still need to use the dictionary every single time you come across with words that you do not understand? I don't think so. So sometimes it is best for us to understand certain words that we don't understand or we are not familiar with by just looking at the context on how the word is used. Now, in order for us to find meaning, there are many ways that we can actually use. There are many strategies that we can actually employ. Now, for example, let us look at synonym. I give you an example here. Fatigue may cause some work to be delayed. In other words, tiredness may hinder or slow down the process of completing certain works. As you can see here, in this paragraph, the word fatigue means that tiredness. But how do I know that fatigue means tiredness? Because you have the clue, in other words, tiredness. Tiredness is basically what fatigue is all about. Sometimes by just looking at the context on how the word is used, you may find clues and also answer to the definition of the word that you don't understand. Other than synonym, antonym can also be your clue in order for you to understand certain words. The husband was in sorrow upon the death of his family's cat. On the other hand, the wife seemed happy as no more cat feces lying around. So you can see that sorrow is the opposite of happy, because whatever the husband is feeling is always the opposite of the wife's feeling. So happy, you do know what happy means, but you don't know what sorrow means. So since sorrow is the opposite of happy, if you have in your mind that sorrow could also mean sad, Well, that is your answer. We can also look at the examples in order for us to guess the meaning of certain words. For example, accommodation such as a house, a hotel, or an apartment is vital when traveling to overseas. So you have examples given to you like a house, a hotel, or an apartment. Those are examples of accommodation. So in your mind, you should already know accommodation means that a place to stay based on the given examples. You can also determine the meaning of certain words by just referring to your experience. I give an example here. The yellow and the red rally have caused massive traffic jams in certain parts in Kuala Lumpur. You may not know what rally mean, but somehow it triggers you. The yellow rally and the red rally that have caused traffic jams in Kuala Lumpur, are they referring to the birthday? Also, rally is where people gathered around on streets, march from one place to another to express whatever that they dissatisfactions that they may have upon them. Somewhat similar to, for example, picket. So see, based on your experience, you already know rally means picket. So experience does help you to determine certain words when you read. Also, we can look at the prefix or a suffix of certain words. So we can break down these words into few components like prefix and suffix and root word in order to guess the meaning of certain words. I give an example. The word hyperactive consists of two words, sorry. The word hyper, which is a prefix, and the word active. You know, hyper means over. Sometimes you say that to your children or to your little brothers and sisters. Hey, sit down, you guys are too hyper. That means they are doing something over. Active means, you know, to be active, to be engaged with something all the time. So to be engaged with something all the time is normal. But when you have the word hyper in front of it, means that you are doing it excessively. You are overdoing it. So hyperactive means that you being active, but you are overdoing it. By just having this, you can already guess the meaning. Okay? So prefix means an addition to the root word with which was just now active, and the prefix is an addition to the word active in the beginning. Suffix, on the other hand, an addition to the root word but at the end of that word. Now the root word is bio and the suffix is logi. You know, bio has to do with life, has to do with, you know, life things that are alive. Logi means a study of something. So when you combine these two words, you have you form a new word with which is biology, and you know that biology means that the study of life because you combine the same meaning. If you're not sure about prefix and suffix, you can always Google them. Now we can also guess the meaning of certain words if we know the meaning of their root words. I give you an example here. Independently. Perhaps you don't know what independently means, but you know that the root word for independently is independence. And you know independence means free or freedom or being freed from something. So if you have in mind independently has to do with something or has to do with freedom or being freed from something, then you're on the right track. You see, English does not mean that you really have to understand every single word when you read or when you speak. Good enough that you know the basic meaning of certain words and you know how the words are used in the context. That will be just good enough. Now, these are the few steps that I'm going to teach you. on how to determine the words given in your reading passage so that you can answer the questions correctly. There are 4 steps. The first one is for you to determine the part of speech of the word that you're trying to find its meaning. We have basically 8 parts of speech. Parts of speech is basically groups for words like noun, pronouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, prepositions, conjunctions, so on and so forth. Once you have determined the part of speech, the next is for you to determine the meaning of the word based on the ways that you have learned or by just using a dictionary. Now, before you open up your dictionary, try to look at the word that is given to you in the passage because there could also be clues in it to help you to gauge the meaning of those words, like what I've said before. But upon looking at the word that is asked in the passage, but you have come to nothing, no clues, then the next step is to open up your dictionary. And that is why I told you in the beginning, it is very important for you to bring along your English dictionary. This is the time for you to use your dictionary. So once you have known the meaning of that word, the next step is for you to sit down and think of another word that may have the same meaning. So you see, in answering the question, we don't want you to give us the long definition. We want you to give us another word that has the same meaning that can be used in the same context in the passage. So that is why, although you have a dictionary with you, this is not really, you know, um, a question that you can simply write the answers based on the dictionary. No. But of course, you need to understand the meaning. So number 3, this part is where you really need to think hard and hard. But trust me, the words that they will normally ask you are words that you guys are familiar with, not words that are very difficult. So you may have come across this before, or when you really think that hard, you will come to certain words that you may feel that may have the same meaning. And to double check, if let's say you have found a word, after giving a long thought, okay, I have found a word that can help me. I think this word means the same meaning as this. You can always open up your dictionary and check the word that you have thought about, its definition. If it shares the same definition with the word that is asked, surely that is the answer. But of course, number 4 is where you need to make sure that the word that is asked, the word that you have thought of, that word shares the same part of speech. All I'm saying here is, if let's say the word that is asked in the passage for you to find the meaning is a noun, the word that you need to replace with it must also come from the noun group. Get it? So if the word that is asked is a verb, you must also replace with a verb. So let's just say, we'll have a look at some examples so that you will understand better, yeah? Okay, so find the meaning of the word ferocious in the following excerpt. So this is basically the excerpt or the passage or part of the passage. Excerpt is part of a passage, yeah? So this is part of the passage. The word ferocious has been highlighted in yellow. They want you to ask, the question asks you to find the meaning of the word ferocious. Now, the question may say that or may state that find the meaning, but we don't want the long definition meaning. Remember, we don't want that. What we want is for you to find another word that has the same meaning with the word ferocious. Always think that way. So let us look at the steps here. Number 1, determine the part of speech of the word that you're trying to find the meaning. So the word ferocious means that Once you have discovered the part of speech of the word ferocious, next is for you to determine the meaning of the word based on the way that you have learned or just by using a dictionary. Now, if you cannot remember the steps that I've just taught you just now, synonyms, antonyms, so on and so forth, since you have a dictionary in your hand, just refer to your dictionary. Next is for you to think of another word that may have the same meaning to the word ferocious. Now, if you are lucky enough, some dictionaries will provide the synonyms. It is true. When you open up a dictionary, you find the word ferocious. Sometimes they will just say that other words that may have the same meaning for ferocious, but they don't actually provide that with to all of the words in the dictionary. Only certain words, yeah. You can list the words down, but eventually you have to choose a word that you are 100% sure is similar in meaning. So in this case, you can choose either fierce or violent or even aggressive. So you can see there are many words that actually may have the same meaning with the word ferocious. You have the word fierce, violent, or even aggressive. So number 4 is to make sure that the word that you have chosen or the word that you have decided as the answer for this question has or share the same part of speech as to the word that is asked. So these are what you have learned in this topic. I guess that is all. Thank you.